Thank you, everyone, for joining me today on our second webinar in our series here. As way of introduction, my name is Frank Valdivieso. I'm the president and CEO of Griffin Consulting. I've got over 30 years of experience in the IT field. I like to tell folks I started when I was 5. I'm also one of the co-founders of the Black Channel Partner Alliance, which is a nonprofit that we started about 2 years ago in the wake of the George Floyd and Breonna Taylor murders to really provide access to Black-owned tech companies into the Microsoft ecosystem. And also I am a member of the advisory board for Women in Cloud, which is just an amazing organization, which is unapologetically focused on helping women gain access to opportunities in the enterprise space. And last but not least, I'm also a member of the Voices for Innovation Advisory Task Force as well. Also with me today to answer any questions is Luis Valdivieso, our IT strategist. I call him my chief/officer. He also has over 20 years of experience, but I think he started probably when he was 20. All right. A little bit about our organization and what we do. We were founded back in 2004. We're based actually here in the Washington, D.C. metro area, and we're primarily focused on SMB, that's small and medium businesses and nonprofits. And we are a Microsoft Gold partner. Some key partnerships that we leverage as it relates to how we engage with our clients. Obviously, the Black Channel Partner Alliance is a group that we will tap into, for example, if we need support with regard to technology or challenges that a customer might have. We'll tap into those members along with the International Association of Microsoft Channel Partners, which has over 2,000 partners worldwide. And last but not least, our distributors are Pax8, Ingram, and TD SYNNEX. And with regard to our capabilities, we're what's called a managed service provider. So we want to be basically your single point of contact for all your IT needs. We're also provide hardware that we resell for organizations, and we do provide SharePoint and Dynamics implementation and support services as well. So today what we're going to talk about is really looking at how the landscape has changed, especially in the wake of COVID, and how our work environments have changed, and specifically moving towards more of a hybrid work environment. And I know for many of our clients, what they realized during COVID is that, wow, they can actually recruit and retain and bring on employees that weren't necessarily located in the city that they were based in. And then there were those clients that basically discovered that, hey, we can reduce our overhead associated with our organization as well. We don't need as much office space because most of our users or most of our employees can work remotely as well. So we'll take a look at that here today, and I'll talk about how Surface and your Microsoft 365 subscription is really has you poised to really take advantage of some really unique opportunities in your organization. So here's some insights that were basically reported out by Forrester Report in terms of hybrid work and devices, if you will. What they found is that almost half of the business leaders that they surveyed, they really are expecting their workforce to remain remote. I know for me, for example, I've definitely adopted that. I know my wife's employer is the same thing. They're not going back to the office. So we're definitely seeing this. And then what they also found is that over 70% of IT leaders say that their device quality needs to be improved. We definitely saw this at the beginning of COVID. We saw a significant increase in our clients needing to purchase new equipment because, again, the equipment that they were using in the office, once they got home, they didn't have either a good microphone or a good camera attached to them. So there was this uptick in spend, if you will, on hardware. And that brings us to the last point, and that's what we're seeing, that trend continuing, that 3 out of 4 business leaders are basically saying that they plan to increase their investments in devices, right? Optimizing and providing their employees with just access and providing them with better tools to work in a hybrid work environment. So in terms of what leaders are looking for in those work devices, what they want to see is, basically a business class device. So something I like to point out, all of your hardware manufacturers, I'd say for the most part, typically have 3 product lines that they sell. They have a consumer-based model. These you'll find in your big box stores, like the Walmarts of the world, and you'll see them for, $199, $299. Consumer class device. You can definitely tell it's a consumer class device once you touch it and feel it. Flimsy keys, the monitor actually has a lot of flex in it as well. So that's one class of device. The second class of device would be a business class device. Here you're going to see higher quality products. They're built to last. They're tough devices, if you will. And then the third class of device is usually some sort of workstation device that it's a really super high-end device. So what we're seeing, and I think what business leaders are looking for, are those devices that are going to last a long time, that are optimized for today's work environment, and that integrate easily and effectively with their Microsoft or their Microsoft 365 subscription, and can be used and can be easily be used and modified and managed remotely. So let's talk about Surface for Business and what they have. And this will be brief, and then I'll get into some aspects about deployment. So one of the things that kind of makes Microsoft a little bit unique in this space is that their products are definitely integrated from inception, if you will. Security's built in, and I'm going to go into depth with regard to some of the unique features that make up the Surface line. Obviously, it's a premium device. One of the things, if you've ever had or seen a Microsoft Surface device, high quality device, so it's going to last a long time. It can take some abuse, being put in and out of a bag. You might drop it on occasion. It's going to withstand that sort of wear and tear. They have a 3:2 ratio, which is important. What's interesting about the 3:2, you probably remember there was a time there where laptops were using kind of this 16:9 format. So it's a little bit squished, kind of like your TV, like you're watching a DVD or a film, if you will, or streaming content. That 16:9 format. The disadvantage of that sort of aspect ratio is it wasn't very tall. And so if you think about how you're engaging with your content, I want to have as many lines as possible on the screen, right? That's the way I engage with my content, right? Whether it's a Word document or Excel spreadsheets, I want as many lines on the screen as possible. That's what makes that 3:2 ratio so important. The other thing is, they're building in LTE. LTE is a technology that allows you to essentially, right from your laptop, you can connect to your cell phone service or cell carrier, your carrier, to get internet connectivity at all times. And then for the most part, par for the course here on all these devices is the ability to have all day battery life. That's so important with mobile devices. So let's look at this lineup. I think I probably have one at each of these, except for maybe I don't have a hub yet or a studio. But I have had probably one of every other device on this screen. And the nice thing is there's a device here for everyone. So I personally have a Pro 8 that I use. It's very thin and light, but very powerful as well. I can slip it into my bag, don't even know it's there. And then there's a laptop format as well. So they've got 3 different models in their laptops. The Laptop 4 is very popular, as is the Laptop Go. We're finding that to be a very popular device with a lot of our customers that have frontline workers that really need a mobile device, but they're in and out of the office. That too is very mobile. It's about a 12-inch device, very, very light, but all day battery life as well. And then there are larger devices as well. So I think the Surface portfolio, which you'll see here, is that it has a device for everyone, if you will. All right, let's talk about deployment and management, which is really what's really amazing and really helps us light up and really leverage a lot of the features that are built into these devices. So one of the things that we've been seeing, and we're really pushing this as we bring on new clients, is zero touch deployment. Now, this I think goes hand in hand with a hybrid work environment. So now what we're seeing, especially with our clients that are, basically adopting a hybrid work environment, is, one of the challenges is, well, how do we manage these devices? If we don't have people coming into the office to pick up a device, how are we going to manage these devices out in the field? That's where zero touch deployment comes in. And there's a technology called Autopilot, which essentially allows us to, once an order is placed for a device, right from the distributor, what we can do is associate that device with a particular client's account. And so what that means is once the device is shipped to the end user or the employee, and they receive the device, all they have to do is turn the device on and essentially log in with their email account and password. And based on the rules that we've implemented on the back end using Intune, it will automatically configure that device for them. It's a huge time saver. It can add a tremendous benefit. We can also retrofit, existing devices with Autopilot. So if you got, depending upon the hardware requirements, we have to do an assessment of what you have in stock. But that's also a way of basically enrolling your existing devices into Autopilot so that if you need to reassign a device, this is another wonderful use case for zero touch deployment. You got an employee that leaves and you want to reassign that device to another employee, we can remotely just wipe that device, right? And then you could ship it to the other employee that needs it. Same thing. They just basically open the device, log in with their email account and password, and the device will then configure itself. Now, one of the other things that we can do as well is there's a number of BIOS settings that we can set and a number of low-level settings that we can manage as well. We'll get into that in a second. One of the other things that's really a benefit here is for those of you, obviously, all of you are leveraging Microsoft 365, is you have a single pane of glass where you can manage all of these devices. So again, I mentioned Intune. Intune is basically their mobile device management platform, which allows us to centrally manage the devices. So we can basically identify all of the applications. So we can create what's called a standard configuration, let's say for your organization. That standard configuration might consist of, you definitely want everybody to have the Windows apps. You might want them to have some sort of third-party messaging app as well. There might be some additional software that you want loaded. So we can basically take your standard configuration and basically create what's called a profile, if you will, for that particular device. And whenever we get a new device in, that image or that profile will be automatically loaded on the user's device as well. And then some other things in terms of Surface that we're seeing that really are having a standard part. They've got an excellent support and warranty program where what they will do is in the event that you have an issue with the device, all you do is we just call support. They will go ahead and send you the device, overnight you the device, so that the next day, within the next business day, you'll have a brand new device, even before you ship yours back. Again, if it's enrolled in Intune, then once you get it, you just log into the device. It'll start downloading and loading your data and all your applications, and then you can send your device back. Individuals ask, well, do we get the old device back? No. Basically, you keep going. They will then take that device and obviously either recertify it or you won't see that device any longer. You'll basically be issued a brand new device. All right. And then one of the new things that they've come out with is this Microsoft Surface Management Portal. Microsoft is the first one that's implemented this in the Endpoint Manager portal that you have access to under Microsoft 365. And again, this is a single pane of glass where you can go and basically inspect and get insight into the overall care and feeding of all of the deployed devices in your environment. So you can check on which devices are up to date with patches, which devices maybe haven't checked in a while. which devices are out of warranty. So a really nice management portal to provide you with easy access, to provide you the ability to even perform rudimentary maintenance actions on the devices in your environment, keeping them up to date and the like. All right. In terms of security, here's where I think Microsoft is definitely differentiating themselves in terms of how they are basically baking in this layered approach to security and their devices. So everything from the components. So it starts with the baseline components that they are designing and building for their machines, obviously applying security protocols all the way up through the remote device management that I just spoke to in Intune. Really provides this highly secure environment and highly secure PC that you can deploy. So, and again, this is all maintained by Microsoft, you know, from, as they call it, from chip to cloud. So very robust security infrastructure that you're getting with Surface. And here's another look at that, you know, the hardware, the firmware, and then there's some things that we can implement in terms of Intune to kind of help with enforcing some of these things. So with Intune, you can basically create a compliance policy that basically will ensure that the device does have a TPM chip. And these checks are done even before that device is allowed to connect to the environment. So it'll confirm that the TPM chip is turned on. It'll also ensure that BitLocker has been turned on as well. So BitLocker is a technology that will encrypt the hard drive. And that is very, very important, especially with the newer drives, so the solid state drives. Being able to turn on encryption is great. In the event if the device is lost or stolen, you can be assured that the data on that device has been encrypted. And in terms of verifying the integrity of the operating system as well, ensuring that the code, the base level code, hasn't been modified by some sort of malicious software. And again, all of these things I'm talking about are included in what we call the hero SKU that you get, which is the Microsoft 365 Business Premium, has all these features built in. What you'll need is obviously, you know, one of our consultants, one of our technicians from Griffin to kind of activate these services for you on the back end. But they're already there. There's no additional cost for those features. You're just paying a one-time consulting fee for us to activate these services for you on the back end. All right. In terms of, let's see here, you know, again, this is just reiterating, I think, you know, the security that's built into the devices. I won't belabor that. This is also the Surface Enterprise Management mode. This is also something that is new to Surface, which provides us with even greater flexibility and control of the devices. So for those organizations that need, let's say, that are operating in a very secure environment, or even, you know, maybe it's not necessarily a secure environment, but you want to limit what types of things are available or active on a device, this is as easy as flipping a switch. So you can see here, such as disabling maybe the front camera on the device or the rear camera on the device, or restricting a user's ability to use the USB ports on a device. So again, as you can see, these devices and the software that's available in terms of the Surface platform, lots of capabilities built into the platform for you to control how, and the security built in and around your device to keep your data, which is one of your most important assets, secure. So at this point in time, I'll take any questions. No questions? Well, I want to thank everyone for joining me today. Here's my contact information. You can reach me directly there at frankv@griffin-consulting.com. And obviously, I'd love for you to connect with me on LinkedIn. Just scan the QR code there on the screen. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.